You're ruining my life. And other reactions from my family and friends. Hey guys! One of the questions that was asked on the Ask Your Questions video was about the reactions of my friends and family when I told them that I wanted to be a single mom by choice. So I kind of just wanted to do a video on that. That's separate because I'm going to talk lots. And yeah. So I'm going to take you way back. Way back. So I don't know quite when it would have been. Probably either high school or early university. I knew I wanted to be a single mom by choice. I just didn't know there was a label to it. I had talked a lot with my mom about adopting and that I wanted to adopt through Child and Family Services and whatnot. And then she was fine with it all, like whatever. And then when I was probably about 18, I came across donor insemination and the Single Mom by Choice group and realized, hey, this is the thing. I was naive and thought, oh, I just have to pay the $1,000 for the donor insemination and a little bit for the sperm and $2,000 and I have a baby, right? I was naive. Anyway, so I had my whole plan. I had talked to my mom about using a donor and stuff like that. Cool, everything's cool, everything's cool. The first time that I experienced resistance to this, I was 2012-ish, 2011, 2012, when I had mentioned to some coworkers that I was saying about how I wanted to stay. Sorry about that. Where was I? Okay, so yeah. So I was talking to coworkers saying, because they knew I had my teaching degree and I was working at a call center at the time, and they were saying about like, why don't you just go and teach wherever? And I was like, well, I want to, but I want to have a child, so I'm not quite sure I want to have a child while not having family support because I'm going to be doing it on my own. And like 2 of them freaked. They're like, why would you want to do this? You're like, one, you're young, so you can still find someone, and it's so much work, it's so hard, we're both single parents, and it's so difficult for us, and yada yada, and I was just like, oh, you mean not everyone's gonna think this is a good idea? It was the first time that I had received anything negative. Everyone else was just kind of like, okay, whatever, right? And it took me a while to realize, like, okay, I'm not doing it the same way as they are. They were in a relationship, they had children together, and then they divorced. So they are dealing with issues with, like, with visitation with each other and having kids on different holidays and they are a single mom by chance, not by choice. And I'm going into this alone, and I think there's a lot less complications when you're doing it alone because you don't have those visitations. You make choices on your own. You kind of know what you're getting into a bit more. Because you know you're going out alone. And I have such a huge support system here that I don't think it's not going to be a problem. But anyway, so that was a reaction. They weren't my friends, but I felt like I should include that. And then I moved away, and then I was talking to my friend who previously had offered to be my surrogate, or had mentioned about being my surrogate, and then she had done surrogacies, and then we were talking more about her being my surrogate. We were trying to figure out timeline and stuff like that. I wasn't ready, and then yeah, anyway, long story short, that didn't work out. But so that would have been 2012, fall 2012, early 2013, and then early 2013 I was like, how about I try? Like, I had said to her, let's start trying fall 2014. And she said, okay, I'm going to do this other surrogacy and then I'll do yours. And then I was like, oh, I crunched the numbers. I was like, I could do this alone, like, now. Because my whole thing was, oh, I need to have a house. I need to have, like, stable job. I don't want to move ever with my child and stuff like that. I'm like, people move all the time. Like, how many times have you moved as a kid? I didn't move a lot as a kid. I've lived, like, in the same area. We moved, like, a couple houses twice. We moved twice. So I've lived in 3 houses from birth to 17. But then after that, I moved every year. And I'm like, kids adjust and whatnot. It's not a big deal. So I'm like, okay, my life doesn't have to be this perfect little, like, nice wrapped up package of a life before I do this. So that's when I started to think about trying on my own. And I had some conversations with my mom about donors. I had shown her some donor profiles, and we were kind of picking through donors. She didn't know how soon I wanted to do it, though. So then July of 2013, I did my first donor insemination. And after I had done it, my mom and I were talking in the car, and then, like, my mom I've talked to about everything my entire life. And so this was no different for me to be talking to her about it. It's not like there's anything spectacular specifically about that I shouldn't be talking to her about it. I just talk to her about everything. So it's natural for me to talk to her about it. So anyway, and then at one point she was like, "Yeah, you're not doing this." And I was like, "Too late," because this was after I had already done it. She's like, "Oh." And that was kind of just like the end of it. And we really didn't talk about it much. And then I went back to, because during the summer I stayed with them. So I went back to work in the fall. I was a teacher, so I had summers off. Anyway, so I went back to work in September, and kind of we talked about it off and on. And then I found my known donor who was shipping to me, and it must have came up again. And then, because we talked every week. And then my mom sent me an email saying, "You're ruining my life. I don't know why you're doing this. You're not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. I can't support a child." Like her saying she can't support a child. "I can't support a child. I can't, I'm not having it live in my house," and yada yada. And I'm like, whoa, where did I ever say I was living with you with the child? Where did I ever say that, like, any of this was going to be, you were responsible for it? And I think at that time it was just scary for her to think, oh shit, I'm going to be a grandmother. And I think she was originally thinking, oh, this is just a phase, or she's not going to do it this soon, or whatever. Like, I don't think she really grasped that this was what I wanted to do, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm baby fever and now I'm growing out of it kind of thing. That this was happening and this is what I was doing. And I said, fine then. I said, I won't talk to you about it anymore. I will tell you if something happens, but other than that, she's like, I don't want to know about even that. And I'm like, well, I can't not tell you. So kind of had just left it at that. And it's really weird, like, because I would talk to her once a week, and I'm used to sharing everything with her. And so from then until, like would have been 2014, April-ish, we had, like, no conversations about baby stuff at all. When I found out I was pregnant in January of 2014, I sent her a message saying, congratulations, you're going to be a grandmother. I'm like, but it's still early, so I'm not quite sure. And then when it turned out to be chemical, I emailed her again saying, just to let you know, you're not. And we never really talked about it. That was it. That was it. So then when I switched to the adoption stuff, things changed. I think at that point she realized, okay, well, if an adoption agency is approving her to be a mom, then maybe she is ready and she is okay. Like, this isn't just a phase now. She's paying a ton of money to do adoption. She's going to classes. She's doing all this paperwork. Like, okay, this is real now. And I think also just having the time to adjust really helped her. So then I was able to talk to her more. She bought me some stuff and whatnot. So that kind of was... Things have been better since then. A lot better. Now, currently, we'll talk about things and then it'll all come back to, well, let's just wait till you're pregnant. So, like, I know she's finally okay with everything. Like, she's mentioned she's going to buy me my car seat, my stroller, my crib, my mattress. Like, she's buying all that. She's already said, I'm buying you that. She wants to do the baby shower. She wants to do, like, everything. So, like, I know everything is cool now. There was just that really rough area where it was like, oh, my mom thinks I'm ruining her life by having a child. I think she just needed time to adjust the thing that this is not just a phase and that I'm getting old. Like, we went to the casino a couple weeks ago and, like, when you hit a certain age, they no longer ask for ID, they just ask your age. And so I said, oh, I'm 28. And my mom goes, you're 28? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh. It's like, yeah, I'm 28 now, like almost 30. She had her first kid at 25. And I was 25 when I started trying. I mean, it was different though because she had been married since she was 18 and whatnot, so that's how she saw it. But now it's like she sees how long it is, and especially with the adoption stuff, she saw how hard it was, and I think that helped in a way for her to see like this is a long road and it's not easy and I need that support. Like I can't just like do it on my own. Like I need my family and my friends and whatnot to be there because I don't have anyone else. And I think even if you have a partner, I think with infertility you still need people. You still need people that understand what you're going through. So anyway, that was my mom. My little brother, I told, it would have been the summer that like July, August after I had tried. I just mentioned it or something in casual talk while walking through the mall because I had went to go look at baby stuff and I said something about him becoming an uncle and whatnot, and it was just casually brought up and he was like cool about it. He was like, I couldn't do that. Like he meant like donate. He doesn't couldn't donate. My older brother, I don't remember telling him anything. I don't remember any reaction. My dad doesn't react to anything. He's just he might have found out because I was originally going to do IVF instead of adoption, and the fertility clinic kept calling here and leaving messages. So it might have been my mom that kind of told him like, okay, this is kind of what's happening. I don't know exactly, but he's never mentioned it to me. Like I don't think he cares. Like it's not an issue. My friends have been completely supportive. I have never heard them say anything against it, to my face anyway. But like the majority of people in my life like know how baby focused I've been my entire life. I've always been like, my cousin posted a picture on Facebook just the other day of me holding my baby cousin, my other cousin. And it's like I've always been like baby focused. Like I always had dolls and wanted like all the accessories so I could pretend that it was a real baby. When I was in high school, I did a parenting class and I like dragged that baby around way longer than I had to. At the same time I was babysitting a little girl that I used to babysit. I had her at my house. Like I used to have her stay overnight a lot and I had her at the same time, and it was like real baby, fake baby. Real baby's a lot more work. I mean, I started babysitting as soon as I legally could, and even then I was babysitting kids younger than I was legally allowed, but we didn't know that at the time. I just always have been baby focused and wanted to be a mother, and no one has really questioned that. And I think society these days, we're really fortunate that there's not as much judgment for women who choose to have kids on their own. In fact, I've had people say, crap, I wish I did that because they got into a relationship or they married someone just because they wanted to have kids and they really didn't see it as an option to do it on their own, or they didn't think they could do it on their own, and then the relationship ended badly and then they ended up being a single mom anyway. And so yeah, in general, very good. I have this on my lap. My aunt, as soon as I announced that I was adopting, we were at Wendy's and she pulls out this bag, and she had like this set. It was this, and then a bunch of what do you call it? Like receiving blankets, and she was all excited, like the adoption stuff. She's adopted, so I think the adoption stuff was really an easier way into becoming a single mom by choice. Like very few people knew when I was trying to get pregnant. The adoption stuff I was very public about, because people kind of accept it a little bit more than, oh, I'm trying to get pregnant on my own. Because people are like, okay, well, where do you get the sperm? What about the dad? Like, stuff like that. Whereas adoption, people don't connect that they need a dad or they have a dad. They just see it as you're adopting that child. Whereas when you use a donor, they're like, well, how do you choose their dad? And are they going to have questions about their dad and stuff like that? And I think with adoption, it's just a different aspect. And now that I'm doing IVF, I think things have changed too, because people have seen my struggle with adoption and they get why I'm not doing it. Whereas I think if I had done IVF to begin with, I would have saved a shit ton of money. But for the general reaction from people, I think most people would have been like, well, why don't you just adopt instead? They've seen that adoption issue, and they can be like, okay, we get it why you're doing IVF. Whereas if I went IVF, they would be like, well, why are you trying to do it on your own? Why don't you just adopt instead? But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other reactions from people. Most people haven't really cared. Like the doing it on my own hasn't been the issue. And I think it helps that I am university educated. I have multiple university degrees. I have a good career if I ever want to go back to it. I don't know that I will go back to teaching or not, but I'm not like some teenage mom that's trying to get pregnant, or teenager that's trying to get pregnant. I am like an educated adult who sometimes does adult things, and I've thought it through clearly, and I've been trying for a long time. So, well, long time, like 3 years, but it's not like oh, I haven't thought this through. Yeah. I've thought it through, and now, like, 25 is different than 28. People see 25 as being so young, and especially when I started thinking, I was like 17, 18 when I started looking at donors. So at that time, I'm like, obviously if I had started trying, or even if I mentioned that I wanted to do it on my own, people would have been like worried about it. Whereas now it's like, okay, I get it more. But yeah, I think that is it. If that helps, let me know. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to post them down below. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you guys later. Bye, guys. And freaking out. I was not expecting that at all. And now I'm freaking out.